Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. My name is Gabi. I'm a master NLP practitioner, an EFT coach, and a law of assumption coach here at Create Your Future. And thanks so much for joining me, where we dive every week into the law of assumption and figure out how to make it work for you. Today, I have Amanda with me. Hi,
Amanda. Hey, guys. And Jerry.
He's here too. Yay.
Absolutely.
Today, so today Amanda and I are here. We're going to be talking about parallel realities. Super excited about this topic.
I know, me too. It's like things can change, with like just by changing what we're thinking. A really good example of it is like, so your subconscious mind will delete or add whatever you want, depending on what you're focused on. And I mean, a really good example of this is anyone like basically been looking for their cell phone, holding their cell phone, using it as a flashlight to look for their cell phone, thinking it's lost. I mean, if we're focused on it being lost, your subconscious mind is going to delete all the evidence that shows that it's there, and it's only going to present you with evidence that it's lost. So, you're holding it, and same thing years ago, when I used to smoke, and it would be like, where's your lighter? Where's my lighter? Holding my lighter. It's like right there, So, that's when we shift into, I'm going to find my cell phone. And then all of a sudden we recognize it in our hand. We've just shifted our parallel to another reality, right?
Exactly. And I just have a great example too of what just happened to me recently. So I was actually on a flight and I was trying to get home, and they had ground stopped the entire airport for my connecting flight. So I was finally able to get to the connecting location. And then, of course, all the flights were delayed because of that. And I just happened to be sitting next to, in the waiting room, one of the flight attendants who was on my flight. And we were talking about how, gosh, it would be really great if I could just get upgraded because the flight was going to be flying in overnight. And she was like, you know what? They just don't really do that much anymore. Like, chances are it's going to be a full flight. People that were flying standby are probably going to be on this because of all the ground stops. And I just kept telling myself, no, you know what? I deserve a great night's sleep, and I am definitely going to be upgraded. And sure enough, they called my name and I got upgraded. And I got upgraded to a really large, like that section right behind first class where all of the seats are much larger, and I just happened to be on a bigger plane. So not only did I get upgraded, but the person next to me didn't come in. So we had a middle seat open as well. So I was able to spread out and go to sleep.
That's so awesome. I mean, it's amazing. It's funny too. The house I live in now that I bought, when we came to put an offer, we came to look at it, and it was like the show home for like the development because it was a brand new house. And they were like, oh, well, my realtor says, oh, well, they're not selling it. And I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would they say they're not wanting to sell it? I'm like, no, everything's for sale. They're going to sell it. Like, they're going to sell it eventually. And I'm the one that's going to buy it. And because I said that, I made that intention and just shifted my reality to not accepting that it wasn't for sale, I pushed my realtor and said, no, you go back and ask, you go back and talk to them because everything is for sale. You can't tell me, like, I'm putting in an offer, anyways. So it came back where they just wanted to keep the show suite, the show house for another 2 months because they didn't want to move everything. And I was like, no problem. I'll wait 2 months because I had to pack everything up anyway. And we were doing actually a long distance move. So it wasn't like just a move around the block. We actually moved like an hour and a half away from where we used to live. But so I shifted into that parallel reality, right? Right now, every single thing that you could possibly think of, if you can think of it, it's all happening right now. It's all available to you right now. And the minute you say, hey, you know what? I want to be in a relationship with Jerry. All of a sudden, Jerry shifts and he's like, oh, I want to be in a relationship with Amanda, right? As soon as you shift into, oh, Jerry's rejecting me, he doesn't want me, boom, that's the reality you're in. He falls into place with that, right?
Exactly. Yes. I like to think of it as almost like a multiversal vending machine. So as soon as you make that selection on the vending machine with your thoughts of this is what I want, this is what I'm accepting to be true for me, and you push the button, that button then actually pushes you into the reality where you have your desire and it shoots out of the vending machine, right? So that's kind of a fun way to think about it. But I think that it's really important, and you really bring up a great point here, that as soon as you accept, hey, I'm in a relationship with Jerry, that's what shows up. Jerry starts to think about that. Jerry starts to move into that. And then you move into that reality. As soon as you decide or accept, oh, Jerry's rejecting me, I'm not in a relationship with Jerry, you also move into that reality. And I got to tell you, so many clients, when they first start coaching with us, that's one of the things that we really work on is, their current thoughts right now are about what they don't want. And so they're just shifting into that consistent reality of what they don't want. And as soon as they start working on, okay, no, my thoughts control exactly what I'm seeing in my reality. My thoughts control what reality I shift into. And then they start working on that and they start looking at what they do want. That's what happens. They shift into their reality. That's why success stories are so prevalent.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It really comes down to, focusing on what you want and being on top of your mental diet. And I think it's so incredibly important to first of all, I love the vending machine thing. And that got me thinking, you know what? Life is like a vending machine. It's like a catalog. When you see someone else successful, instead of going, why do they have it, not me, go, wow, that I'm able to witness that in my reality. And so I want to create that. Use it as a catalog, get excited about it, going, you know what? Wow, that's a great, instead of going, why do they have it and I don't? No, I'm going to have that too. In fact, I'm going to have it. Plus I'm going to have it better. I mean, and then the other thing, right, is sometimes we don't know what we want until we know what we don't want. So if things are showing up that you don't like in your reality, people are saying things that you don't like, go, wait a minute. Well, I'm in a reality that I don't want. I'm in Rejectionville and I want to go to basically Acceptanceville and, committed relationshipville. How do I need to get there? I intend, that Jerry wants to be with me. I intend Jerry calls me back. I intend Jerry texts me all the time. Whatever your you're seeing showing up in your reality that you don't like, start just taking notice and changing it. It's like changing around your living room,
Yep. That's a perfect point too, Amanda, and I just mentioned that in one of my recent videos too. We were talking about the Neville quote around where he brings from the Bible, which is, in my Father's house, there are many rooms. And Neville talks about how when you move from room to room, that's you moving from state to state or version of you or reality. But he also goes on to talk about, through an exercise of visualization, around, hey, close your eyes and think about what a room would look like if it were your favorite room and you had designed it with every detail to your liking. And then visualize closing that door, and then visualize opening that door again and seeing yourself in that room and putting yourself into that room. That's exactly what you do. So he's basically saying, like, just what you had said, and years ago, decades ago, around how you're just selecting from a catalog, right? And that's exactly what we do every day, moment by moment, in the now present moment. We select from a catalog, and we have the great opportunity when we are in our human form to really keep continuing to select. And if we select something and then we're like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't mean to select that, or I don't like how that's turning out, you can select again, which is even more powerful and amazing. It's so great that we have that power.
Exactly. So, and I think what's really important, to what you're saying is that we're not rejecting what's there, we're renouncing it. And we're changing it. So I think the best way, and I know, I don't think I know. Let me be confident about this. The best way to, basically change your reality is to accept what's there and then to renounce it. Okay. Like ignoring it, rejecting it, and resisting it is only going to give you more of it. Okay. So let's say Jerry walks in, right? We're dating and he's all like, I'm like, how are you? He's like, don't talk to me. And I'm like, oh my God, he always comes home from work in a bad mood. Like, this really sucks. Okay. So now what do I got to do? Okay, I can either, call up my mom, my friends, and start complaining about that, call Gabi and be like, you want to believe what Jerry did? Or, you know what, I can look at it and go, okay, not take it personally, and think to myself, okay, well, I don't like that. What do I want instead? Well, I intend Jerry's always in a good mood when he comes home and he gives me a hug and kiss. Okay, great. That's what I'm going to see. I intend that Jerry, has a good time at work and he is excited when he gets home to see me. And that's what's going to happen, and then move on, and then not be discouraged if you've affirmed that once and it shows up again. Not a big deal. When it shows up a second time, just do it again. Be gentle and easy on yourself and don't give up on yourself, right? I remember there was we had one charger in the house because Andrew forgot it. And so he would charge his phone at night and I would charge my phone during the day because he had to go to the office, right? So we're sharing this one charger because we're too lazy to go out and buy another charger. So anyway, so I was intending that basically every morning he would plug in my phone for me. Okay. So I started intending. It took a couple days, and all of a sudden he said, "Oh, I plugged in your phone for you." I was like, "Great." So we did it for a couple days, and all of a sudden one day he stopped again. And I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's okay. I intend he'll do it." And then he started doing it, and he continued to do it until we got a second charger. So, you may have, where you're going to see the result and then feel like you take a step back. It's fine. Just, you know what? It's okay. Just reaffirm the reality that you want to be living in, right?
Yes, yes. And this is especially true for those of you who are working on manifesting an SP or a relationship. And Amanda, I don't know if you remember, but I know that you and I talked quite a bit when I was intending for my SP to say, "I love you." And I would very often every day say, "Okay, I'm intending for this. It's happening. I am now the version of me who's hearing him say, 'I love you.'" And then, of course, it wouldn't happen during that day because I hadn't fully shifted into that reality yet. And I would say to you something around it, and you'd be like, "No, no, no, it's happening now. It's happening now." And I'm like, "Oh, yes, you're right. That's right. That's right. That's what's happening now." And then when it did happen, it was so out of the blue. It was so off the wall. I didn't expect it. And it didn't actually manifest in the actual form I thought it would. Like, I thought it was going to be this big over romantic gesture, but actually the way he said it was the most perfect alignment with the story of who he is in my head, right? And
Right.
so it was so beautiful in how it manifested. But I do remember that even I consistently was going back and forth through that. And I was like, "No, I'm going to keep choosing this. I'm going to keep choosing this. This is who I am. This is the reality I want. This is what I want. This is me. This is what I'm getting because I'm worthy and I'm deserving of this because I'm perfect and true and can have whatever I want and be whatever
He's
I want."
over his baggage.
Exactly. And he's over his baggage.
Your story of manifesting your SP is truly inspiring. And guys, Gabi knows what she's doing. She was just like me in my relationship, like put every brick and like boulder and wall in front of herself, right? And like we all do, right? And she really had to get out of the way of herself and and deal with a struggle there. So I don't know how much of your story you told, but I mean, you guys, like, there was a lot of persisting involved, and doing a really good job not taking the lack of something showing up personally, right? So, because it's funny, I remember when I wanted, Andrew to propose to me, he was like, "Well, I've been married before." Like, we were living together. He's like, I don't want to get married again. I don't want to get married again. And I'm thinking, we're living together, and the law in Canada is common law. After 2 years, you're pretty much considered married by the government. So I'm going to myself, I'm like, well, we're already pretty much married. I'm like, we're already pretty much married. So I just kept saying, well, Andrew's over his baggage and you were pretty much married. So yeah, he's going to marry me. And then every day that it didn't show up, I didn't take it personally. I just, was happy and grateful for just having the relationship that we had, because it wasn't like me in it just for marriage and being like, "Okay, Andrew, if you're not marrying me, you're gone." No, you know what? Like, I mean, I wanted to be with him whether he wanted to marry me or not, but I wanted to get married, right? So, I think that's something important to note, is that we can't resist our current reality, right?
Yeah, that's so true. And not only that, but when you are seeing a lack of what you desire or what you are intending to manifest in your 3D, it's a really great opportunity for you to ask yourself, well, why am I not seeing this right now? Right. And that was something that even you would challenge me with. Well, Gabi, why do you think why do you think you don't have it yet? I'd be like, "Oh, well, because I have this going on." And you're like, "Well, that's a story." And it's a story, right? The stories that we tell ourselves are exactly what keeps us from preventing it to manifest in the 3D. And so if you can answer that question why and be honest with yourself, that's really a really great indicator of the block that you have or the resistant story that you have around the manifestation. And it's really fantastic for you to work through that and then start really intending to move yourself past that so that you can shift into the reality where you have your desire.
Exactly. I mean, that's just it. Parallel realities are really simply explained of, it's really just shifting your state, and your state is really just your thoughts. So, so if I have, basically it's a thought. And if I have multiple thoughts, it'll put me in a state. So I don't know if anyone's ever woken up and they're just like depressed or whatever, or anxious. Here's a good one, anxious. It's a state of anxious. So how do you get in a state of anxious? Well, let's say you're going somewhere and you start worrying about what people are going to think, what you're going to do, what people are going to think about you, what you're going to say, right? That all those thoughts will enough of them will manifest and create the feeling of anxiousness. So, to change your reality, to switch through parallel realities, change your thoughts, and that'll change your state. And then that'll change the reality that you're in, right? So, and the thing is, right, and I intend to never do this again, ruminate on negative things that show up. I've had things that have been like right out of left field, and it's like, obviously it doesn't make any sense because I'm manifesting it and it was like a weird thought and a weird thing showed up, but not like to avoid ruminating on that and just to acknowledge it and just move on. Right. And, and sometimes you are going to have that fight in your head where, you're going to want to ruminate and you're going to tell yourself no. But in those times, it's important, to put on some good music, to distract yourself with something, but come back to it, because like Napoleon Hill said, always finish your thought. Okay. What he meant by that was don't stop on the negative, finish it. Okay. The end of your thought is what's going to show up with the universe. So if you're like, oh, Jerry rejects me, and then you leave it there, no, then he's going to reject you. But if you say Jerry rejects me, but no, I intend that he actually wants to be with me, he's over his baggage, he's ready for a relationship, boom, you've shifted it, right in that moment. So, be aware of that. To finish what you're thinking, I think is so incredibly important.
Oh, yes, I couldn't agree more. And I also think too, to just remind yourself when you are seeing something that you are taking it to mean that it's negative or that you're not getting what you want, stop and ask yourself, wait a minute, hold on. What am I making this mean right now? Right? What am I making this mean? And then realize that you are actually making it mean what you don't want. So how can you make it mean what you do want? And just remind yourself that only you have the power to make it mean you're getting what you want or not getting what you want. And you can change that with just a simple thought. So really go ahead and do that. Keep shifting yourself into the reality, that you desire. You will move in and out of that reality or multiple realities multiple times. And as Amanda said, it's really just a state or a version of who you are being.
Exactly. So that's so awesome. Thank you so much for having me on your video today, Gabi. I appreciate it. And Jerry.
Yes, thank you both for joining me. I'm so excited to have another video with you. And guys, if you are looking for some individualized one-on-one support, you can go ahead and book a coaching session with me. That is in the description box below. We're also still giving away a free course on how to identify and get rid of your blocks, also in the description box below. And I'm having a course sale right now on courses and meditations, $50 off. And you can use the coupon code GABI50 GYM for Get Your Manifestations. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.